Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It is that time of the day yet again to go over all of your Tesla stock breaking news. We will also discuss the path ahead for Tesla stock and what is coming next. Does this rally continue into something that could lead to all-time highs, or are we destined for another big collapse? If you have been a viewer of this channel over the past couple of weeks, then I'm sure you know my stance on this already. But for those of you guys that are just recently joining us here again, I will share it for you and hopefully help you gain some perspective. Nonetheless, let me know what you think about Tesla stock down below in the comment section. Grab your favorite brew. I know it's the weekend, so no judgments there. We got some coffee with the happy mug. It just seemed appropriate for this video. So first and foremost, let's discuss the path ahead for Tesla. And there could be many different paths that are possible here. I think one big wild card factor is what happens in the markets. As you continue to chug higher in the markets, the economy, labor market continues to weaken, heading into earnings season. The breadth of the markets is very narrow at some of the worst points you have been at in decades, let's be honest. It could get a little shaky here. Now, I firmly think if you are in the bullish camp, you better not be counting on big tech to carry you higher throughout the second half of this year. You have to be betting on a broadening out of our markets. And I think a broadening out of our markets comes either if the economy continues to do well and inflation continues to fall, or, which you kind of need that part of it regardless, but add on top of that the Fed that starts to become more dovish, more in tune with what's actually going on. They start to forecast that first cut coming in September. You're seeing a lot of guys on Wall Street now starting to say, which is pretty normal, the next meeting's the important one, but not July 31st. It's the communication on July 31st for the next meeting that is important according to Wall Street, which will be in September. A lot of guys on Wall Street are saying if the Fed does not signal a cut coming September, you could see problems in our markets. Now, historical precedents would say that the Federal Reserve really does not like to cut before an election because it can be a political thing. It does get a lot of political attention. And history would suggest the Fed overall tries to avoid that as long as they possibly can. Like, in all reality, to get a cut from the Fed before the election itself in September, you're probably going to have to see the data get materially worse from here. And I don't think that would be good for stocks. I believe the Fed when they say they're going to cut rates once this year, either the day after the election on November 7th or in December. Either way, I don't think that's going to be viewed in the short term by July as a positive, because I don't think the Fed's going to signal strongly for that cut coming September. That is a problem potentially for our markets coming in August. I think the bigger problem could be this upcoming earnings season, which expectations are just too high. So for Q2 of 2024, you're expecting an EPS growth rate of 9.6% year over year. For Q3, you're expecting 8.7%. And for Q4, you're expecting 17.7% growth in EPS year over year. These are not small numbers, but overall, you're expecting 11.3% EPS growth in 2024 and 14.4% in 2025. This all comes at a time where the economic data does not look good. Manufacturing's been in contraction for the better part of 2 years. You have the services data that just went into contraction, which never happens unless you're in a recession. If you exclude the COVID era, that COVID decline that you've seen in activity, that was the worst service number you have seen since 2009. I believe that probably translates into corporate earnings at some point, and markets are not priced for that. At that point, we could make the the argument that maybe the Fed does start to cut rates and the markets would do okay regardless. I am getting more and more concerned as markets are at all-time highs, the economy is getting worse, the Fed does not seem willing to cut rates anytime soon, whether it is for political reasons or whether it is for the actual, I guess, I don't want to say abuse the Fed has went through, self-inflicted abuse by being late to start raising rates, calling inflation transitory. They don't want to make the early move to start cutting rates and then, well, be forced to start raising rates again. And also, like I previously mentioned, you see the percent of stocks trading above their 50-day moving average, for an example, at 38%. At the same time, stocks are hitting new all-time highs. The S&P market cap weight, the just normal S&P, is well outperforming the equal weight S&P. The Russell's negative now on this year again, and the S&P just continues higher, and there's really only 7 stocks that are leading everything higher. All of these things make me a little cautious in the near term. I'm talking the next 1 to 3 months, because usually from my experience, that does not end well. So yes, I'm a little concerned for the broader markets, but at the same time, I think Tesla stock and the rest of the markets that have not done anything in years may actually start to outperform in that instance before we go into a recession, or before it looks like we're going into a recession. That's when I would expect everything can sell off a bit. But at this point, I think it's probably going to be a rotational correction out of big tech, out of the areas that have performed well, into other areas that have not performed well. And Tesla still at this point fits in that camp, still down about 45% from all-time highs. I do think in the near term, the prospects for Tesla stock specifically look very good. I mean, you really can't argue with the rally that we have seen from $140 to $251 in just about 2 months. Either way you want to put that, that is a very strong rally. And I believe Tesla stock is back. Not just back in the sense of it was gone, but it's back on people's radar. It's back on big money's radar as, oh crap, this company may actually be something. Tesla may be revolutionizing the world in ways that other companies are not, specifically in regards to AI. I mean, the real world use case practicality of Tesla's products of full self-driving in regards to AI are unparalleled. There's nothing today that is even close to competing with the practicability or real world scalability of AI and robotaxis and full self-driving. And the best part about that is you haven't even gotten any of that priced into Tesla stock today. This $100+ rally from 140 or so to 151 has not been AI related at all. It's been the energy business, and it has been this narrative that things are going to get better for Tesla throughout the rest of this year, that maybe the business itself has started to trough and is starting to recover. But when you start to sprinkle on that AI hype or AI momentum, that's where things are going to get crazy for Tesla. And I mean, it's still out there. It's been concentrated in certain areas like big tech and NVIDIA and your other hyperscalers and GPU adjacent trades. But it is going to find its way into Tesla over the next coming months, specifically with Tesla's Robotaxi date of August 8th. Now, this date is specifically important with the one thing that matters. The one thing that matters. It doesn't matter what Tesla says, what products Tesla is planning to launch. The only thing that matters, mark my words on this, is when is the Robotaxi going to launch? If it's 2025, that is very bullish. Very, very bullish. If it's 2026 or 2027, that is not bullish. Tesla stock will not react positively to that because of where rates are, and markets are only looking out like 1 year. They're not looking out 2-3 years and adding valuation to companies based on what they're projecting 2-3+ years out down the line. When rates are at 0, then you see a lot more of that, right? And that's to some extent what happened with Tesla in 2020 and 2021 and why Tesla hit all-time highs then. And my personal expectation is that Elon Musk and Tesla are going to forecast a launch of the Robotaxi network with probably some kind of preconditional approval to launch in maybe 20 cities by the second half, well, around midpoint of 2025. I believe that will be seen as a massive positive for Tesla stock and likely start a rally to new all-time highs within the next 2 months or so following that. So it wouldn't surprise me if by the first week in October, second week in October, about 2 months after the Robotaxi event, Tesla stock is at all-time highs in the mid 400s. Now, there's many different reasons for this, but number one, Tesla's valuation is really not bad if we do get a launch of the Robotaxi in, some kind of parameters of, let's call it 20 cities here in the US, maybe 10 cities over in China. I should have probably added that. You're probably going to get some kind of mention of China as well, since they're already testing Robotaxis in China now. That's probably coming, and maybe even coming sooner than the US. But based on those parameters, you could start to look at Tesla and say, EPS growth is going to pick up a lot over the coming years. And when you actually factor in the PEG ratio, price earnings divided by growth, you're going to come to the conclusion that Tesla trading at 100 times PE. Let's say the PE multiple climbs to 100. Let's say Tesla's expected EPS for next year climbs about 15-20% to $5 per share. You could have Tesla at $500 by the end of this year. And that may actually be cheap if Tesla is trading at 100 times multiple, because what if next year the EPS growth rate is 35%? And then the following year it's projected to grow at 40%. Then it's a great deal buying Tesla at $500 per share. And that's why the start of the Robotaxi network is so important for Tesla's overall valuation. Now, there's other different metrics you can look at, like Tesla breaking out above the multi-year downtrending trend line you have seen. That's obviously a technical positive sign, and usually when that happens, you get a big reversal anyways. I think this whole AI revolution that Tesla is opening up the markets to the growth that you are going to see over at Tesla is just really added on top of that. I think regardless, breaking this trend line is a big deal. You've also seen a lot of retail investors that have sold out of Tesla at lower prices that will likely FOMO back in. Tesla is the 11th largest company on the US stock market, but yet it is the 30 or 40th most invested company in the markets, meaning that Tesla's not a very vested company on Wall Street. A lot of hedge funds and institutions don't own any exposure to Tesla, and especially after August 8th, firms are going to say, we have to own Tesla. And I think that's where a lot of that rally will be, fueled from. Not to mention Tesla's shorts are getting absolutely blown up, and they're still not covering on short positions. The dollar amount currently sold short in Tesla is over $26 billion. And we'll take a look at that data here in just a second. But when you add the convolution of all of these different things, or combination, maybe I should say is probably a better word, then I think you're looking at a very positive setup for Tesla as long as we get that Robotaxi expected launch in 2025. It could be the end of 2025. Really doesn't matter. Just 2025, that's the important part. Preferably the first half of 2025 would be the better case scenario. End of 2025, still not a bad scenario either. And I can sit here and confidently say I'm expecting Tesla will hit new all-time highs probably 60 days or so, 2 months or so after August 8th. So if you think it's too late to get in Tesla, well, from my analysis, from what I can see, not even close. There's still a lot of upside in Tesla stock, and it wouldn't surprise me if Tesla is a $500 stock by the end of this year. Now, again, that's why we talked about what we talked about in the beginning of this video about the economy, because if we do go into a recession, then Tesla's not going to be a $500 company. Tesla can still be a $300+ company, but there will be some kind of down move in the broader markets if it looks like we're going into recession. But I think even if we get a correction based on valuations of the markets being too elevated, I don't think that means you need to see broad selling of everything. And I think some of the stocks in areas that have not done anything in years, like Tesla, even still after this rally, Tesla has done nothing in years. I think those areas can still do okay, especially if T-Man wins. You're going to see more rate cuts, and that's going to be good for Tesla's overall demand. Now let's break down a little bit of Tesla stock news today. The European Union inspectors visited Tesla's Giga Shanghai to determine individual duty rates for the company amid Europe's provisional tariffs on electric vehicle EV imports from China. It looks like NBA player Trae Young shows off his new Cybertruck and Ford Tesla Powerwall 2s. Sawyer Merritt is reporting that Tesla's FSD supervised V12.4.3 is now starting to roll out to some early access Tesla owners, non-employees in the US. Friday was a big options day for Tesla and big money. On Friday alone, you had 136 interesting trades that were picked up by Ortex, totaling $53.12 million with a positive order value of 75%. Over the past week, you had 390 different trades, totaling $150 million with a positive order value of 70%. As I previously mentioned in this video, the dollar amount that's currently sold short in Tesla is up about 55% over the last 3 months, going from about $17 billion to $26.2 billion. That is about a $9.5 billion loss that shorts have taken in their short position in just 3 months. Ouch. That sucks, okay? You do have 3.84% short interest of free float with about 106.5 million shares that are currently sold short in Tesla. And it looks like Wall Street is really trying to fight Tesla's stock right now. You can see on Friday, you had return shares or covered shares of 2.16 million and borrowed shares that were presumably sold short, of 4.08 million. That means on net, you had 1.93 million shares that were actually sold short on Friday. If you take a look at the cost to borrow fees sitting at about 10% for the cost to borrow max, that's pretty high. That's about as high as it gets for Tesla. 10% cost to borrow fees suggest there's a lot of demand to short Tesla right now. And I think that's where a lot of the further upside from here will also come in, because people just don't understand what I'm saying in this video. I think if big money watched this video, they would be like, oh shit, I'm not looking at this from the right perspective. Maybe this random guy on YouTube, his name's Michael Tyler, maybe he has a point. Maybe Tesla stock is just getting started. I seriously think that's probably what they would say if they watch this video, because they have absolutely no clue what's coming next for Tesla. Sentiment among retail investors on Friday did flip a little bit from being bearish over the last couple of days throughout this rally. You've seen retail be very, very bearish on Tesla. And, oh, well, never mind. I got too far ahead of myself. Today, the sentiment is bullish at 60. Yesterday, when Tesla was actually trading, the sentiment was bearish at 42. So the bulls are coming out over this weekend. But still, a lot of retail investors are pretty bearish on Tesla. And I don't really think they're bearish on Tesla. I think a lot of people are just mad they missed the rally. But I'm here to tell you, there's a lot more rally to come, in my personal opinion. Obviously, I'm not a financial advisor. Tesla stock could go to zero tomorrow, and I just don't know, right? There could be an asteroid hurtling on Giga Texas as we speak, and some of these statistical anomalies or weird events, I can't forecast them, right? So I can always be wrong. That's really the long story short. Message volume yesterday was at 54, which was normal. Today it's normal at 47, and the participation ratio is high at 55. Google Trends data for the Cybertruck is ticking upwards from 70 to 74. The Model Y is staying the same at 26. The Model 3 is the same at 23. The Model S and the Model X are both at 10 and 8, which are also unchanged. So overall, some very healthy numbers for Google Trends. Tesla currently is running about 4,000 different ads with Google. And you can see Tesla's global inventory numbers are falling yet again today to about 3,900 for the Model Y, the Model 3 at about 4,200, the Model X at about $2,400, and the Model S is sitting down here at about $2,000. So inventory numbers are starting to be run down. So that is what I have for you guys here in this video. There's really not too much happening over this weekend. I think that's just an overall general statement. I think a lot of Wall Street is still just enjoying their 4th of July, extended a holiday. A lot of people did not go back to the office on Friday. I think even some of the economic data that we've seen on Friday with your non-farm payroll report and your unemployment rate, whole can of worms there. Unemployment rate went higher, not great. Apparently, it's more workers coming to the workforce. Of course, the government would say that. And the non-farm payrolls report, if you take out government jobs, you take out healthcare, it looked really bad. So I think there's going to be more digestion of this coming in the next week ahead as we start earnings. That's where I'm a little concerned that we could be due for a pullback. But we'll talk about that more in the next video, so stay tuned to the channel for that one. We'll be coming out today at 8 p.m. sharp, and grab yourself a coffee. Maybe it's in a happy mug or a frown mug, or grab yourself a brew. If my Tesla tequila was here, well, we would drink some of that later tonight, because why not? It's been a great run for Tesla. Let me know if you've gotten your mezcal yet. I guess I live in Michigan. I should expect a long wait time since it's coming from Mexico, but neither here or there, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day and your weekends. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And I will see you in the next one.